Why your cat runs wildly at 3 a.m. every night. If you've ever been jolted awake at 3 in the morning by the sound of thundering paws racing down the hallway, furniture being knocked over, or your cat letting out a series of inexplicable yowls, you are far from alone. This phenomenon, affectionately known among cat owners as the Zoomies, or more formally, frenetic random activity periods, FRAPs, is one of the most entertaining yet baffling behaviors in domestic feline life. But behind the chaos lies a deeply rooted biological logic, one that speaks to the wild ancestry your seemingly civilized house cat has never truly abandoned. To understand why cats go berserk in the dead of night, you first need to understand what cats fundamentally are. Crepuscular and, in many cases, nocturnal hunters. In the wild, cats, from the smallest domestic shorthair to the largest lion, are hardwired to be most alert and active during the transitional hours of dusk and dawn, and quite often through the darkest stretches of night. Their eyes are anatomically built for low-light conditions, equipped with a high concentration of rod cells and a reflective layer behind the retina called the tapetum lucidum, which amplifies even the faintest available light. Their hearing is extraordinarily sensitive, tuned to detect the high-frequency squeaks of small prey. Their muscles are coiled for explosive bursts of speed and precision. All of this biological machinery is calibrated not for midday napping in a sunbeam, but for nocturnal hunting. And that machinery doesn't simply switch off because your cat now lives indoors and eats from a ceramic bowl. When your cat lives inside a human home, however, much of the day passes in enforced idleness. The average indoor cat sleeps between 12 and 16 hours daily, often more. While this may sound luxurious, it means that energy is being stored, not expended. Predatory urges accumulate without an outlet. The hunting instinct, the stalk, the pounce, the chase, the kill, remains fully intact even in the most pampered apartment cat, simply waiting for the right moment to discharge. And that moment, as any exhausted cat owner can confirm, tends to arrive reliably around 3 a.m. There is also a more immediate trigger: the environment. During the day, a home is full of activity, noise, and human movement. These are, paradoxically, stimuli that keep a cat somewhat subdued. Too many variables, too much unpredictability. But late at night, when the household falls silent and still, the cat's senses fully awaken. Small sounds that were masked by daytime noise, a creak in the wall, a distant siren, the scurrying of an insect, suddenly become vivid and compelling. A shadow shifts. A moth flutters near a lamp. These microstimuli act like a starting pistol, triggering the predatory sequence that evolution has spent millions of years perfecting. The result is a cat sprinting at full speed down a darkened corridor, launching itself off your bed and disappearing behind the refrigerator. Another critical factor is the accumulation of pent-up predatory energy. Unlike dogs, who often expend energy through walks and outdoor play, indoor cats have limited opportunities for genuine physical exertion. If a cat hasn't had sufficient interactive play during the day, the kind that mimics stalking and catching prey, that unreleased energy doesn't simply evaporate, it builds. The 3 a.m. sprint is often the pressure valve releasing what a full day of inactivity has compressed. Think of it less as random madness and more as a deeply rational response to a day of enforced stillness, the body demanding what the environment denied it. Hormones also play a subtle but significant role, particularly in unneutered or unspayed cats. The nighttime hours are when the instinct to seek a mate intensifies, producing a restless, driven energy that can manifest as vocalizing, pacing, and yes, furious sprinting. Even in neutered cats, residual hormonal rhythms can contribute to heightened nocturnal alertness. Age matters too. Kittens and young adult cats are far more prone to nighttime zoomies, simply because they have more raw energy and less accumulated fatigue than older cats, whose activity levels tend to naturally mellow with age. There is one more layer worth examining: the psychological dimension. Cats are, despite their reputation for independence, creatures that respond acutely to their environment and emotional state. A cat that feels understimulated, mildly anxious, or simply bored will find its own outlet. The midnight sprint is sometimes less about pure predatory energy and more about a mind that has been idle too long and is now demanding engagement. In this sense, the 3 a.m. chaos can actually be a form of communication, a somewhat dramatic signal that your cat's need for mental and physical enrichment is not being fully met. So what, practically speaking, can you do? The most effective solution is elegantly simple. Tire your cat out before you go to bed. A vigorous interactive play session in the evening. 15 to 20 minutes of wand toys, feather lures, or laser pointers that genuinely simulate the hunting sequence, followed immediately by a small meal, mimics the natural hunt, catch, eat, groom sleep cycle. A cat that has hunted and eaten is a cat that is neurologically and physically ready to rest. Puzzle feeders, window perches with outdoor views, and environmental enrichment throughout the day also help by keeping that predatory intelligence engaged during waking hours, reducing the pressure that builds into a midnight eruption. Understanding the 3 a.m. zoomies ultimately comes down to a single core insight. Your cat is not misbehaving. It is behaving with complete biological fidelity to what it is. A small, supremely engineered predator living inside a world that was not entirely designed for it. The wild is still in there, padding silently through your living room, waiting for the house to go quiet. When it finally does, it runs.